Welcome to week 6 in the ethics class. Your assignment this week in the book Morality and Moral Controversies, edited by John Arthur and Stephen Scarlett, is chapter 15 on liberty. And you'll see there are a lot of different articles in here that talk about liberty in a lot of different ways, including things like the ethics of smoking. One thing that you may be aware of is that there has been quite a kerfuffle in our country about whether or not people should have the right to smoke or the right to be in smoke-free air. And lots of things have sort of shifted in the last generation or two about ideas of what smoking constitutes and the freedoms around that. I remember an episode of Star Trek once, I think it was Star Trek Deep Space Nine, in which some of the characters went back in time and ended up in the 1940s and 50s America. And of course, everyone in every scene there from the American side was puffing on a cigarette, no matter whether they were in their home or in their office or in their car or outside. That was very standard. That was very common then. It was an era in which doctors even advertised cigarettes. More doctors smoke Camels, things like that. Things that are almost inconceivable today, where entire cities and towns and populations have gone smoke-free, whether it be in the house or in the car or on the public street. There seem to be fewer and fewer places where you can smoke now. There are other issues that come up this week that talk about rights of action, rights of free speech, rights of freedom of thought and expression in ways that sometimes make us uncomfortable. I remember Voltaire's statement about, "I disagree entirely with what you have to say, but will defend to the death your right to say it." Sometimes that gets rather tricky when it turns into a situation where the Nazi Party wants to march down the main streets of Skokie, Illinois, a traditionally Jewish community. Or when there are other things that are taking place, such as the opening of an adult bookstore or something like that on the outskirts of town or even inside of a town, and the neighborhood around not wanting to have that in their particular neighborhood. To what extent do we support freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of action, and to what extent do we have another right to live without these kinds of influences around us? These are the things that come up in our discussion this week in chapter 15. There are several things that I've given you as direct assignments, but feel free to read more if you want, because they are worthwhile articles. And I look forward to seeing what you have to say on the boards. I'm running a little low on energy this week. As you may hear, I have a cold, so I'm sitting next to the fire and trying to stay warm. But I will be available online, so please feel free to contact me if you have any questions.